Yeah, I'm John Ozzie. I'm with Utah Against Police Brutality. One of the organizers, one of the many organizers. You're all beautiful. So good to see all of you out here. I know people came from Ogden, people came from Salt Lake, but more importantly, people came all the way from California. Thank you so much. We're here to put a human face on Nicholas Sanchez today. He was immediately demonized after he was killed by high-powered attorneys from Salt Lake City that was hired by the Roy Police Department, knowing that they needed to fix things up pretty fast after a shooting that they know wasn't a righteous shooting. And like they usually do, they demonized the victim. They called him a criminal that... They called him a criminal that was consistent with someone who was about to commit a robbery.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. I guess in Roy, standing in front of a convenience store waiting for your girlfriend to call you is being guilty of committing a robbery.
No, some of them did not show up. So
he was also
I've heard you sing
described as someone who was a violent felon. And the charges listed against him, which are totally untrue, having seen his FBI and arrest record. They accused him of drive-by shootings, attempted murder, armed robbery, and assault and battery. All bullshit.
Yeah!
So today, thank you all for coming. We're going to have some speakers. We're going to have friends and loved ones of Nick that knew him, as well as some speakers and activists that can tell you your rights, give you suggestions as to what you can do in your own communities, with your city councils, your mayor's offices, and hopefully this will slowly stop the trend of the erosion of our civil rights in this country, and especially the rights of the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment. So let me bring up someone who I'm thrilled to have here today, and I finally got a chance to meet her personally, Annette Olson, and I'll let her tell you her relationship and her story. Thank you.
Why does it always get a job? I don't get it.
So I'm a little bit taller here. My husband is here today to help support me. But Nick, he was fascinated with everything in life, any little thing. He wanted to collect all the new gadgets there were. He wanted to collect everything that was new and electronic. And he worked hard to get every little gadget that he had. He loved adventure. He liked to go hiking. He liked to go fishing. He liked to go four-wheeling. But he always said, "You'll never catch me skydiving. You'll never catch me swimming in the ocean. No, that's too dangerous." But he loved adventure. He always had a smile on his face. He always had funny stories and jokes to tell you. He was a friend to everybody that he knew. He was friends in all different kinds of people. He didn't care who you were. He wanted to help you. He wanted to be there for you. He sometimes would, he had stopped once because he saw a lady shoveling her sidewalk, and he said, "You shouldn't be out here shoveling your sidewalk, you go inside." And so he shoveled her sidewalk. He didn't know this person. He just stopped because he didn't feel like a woman should be shoveling her sidewalk. And he he tried in his mid-20s to start living a good life. He realized that the gang life is not something that he wanted in his life. And he worked from his middle 20s on. And because of some of those charges, felony charges and things that he had, he was found with some guns in 2010, and so he went to prison for 5 years. He should not have went to prison. He was not a violent person. You know, I didn't even realize that if you had a felony of any kind, that you could go to prison because you had a gun. And you know, I can understand if you were going to rob a bank and you did something with that gun that was violent, yeah, throw the book at him, that's great. But not when he had just drug felony charges and he was trying to improve his life. But he took his medicine and went to prison for 5 years. He did his time because of what he had gotten himself into in his earlier life. Then when he came out, we let him come and live with us. We had met him in 2008 when he was doing an addition onto our home. And then the economy went down, he had no job, and he was really good with dogs. And I run a dog business, and so he came to work for me. And that's after he had been working for me for a while, that's when he was arrested for guns and went to prison. We visited him every year, no matter what prison he was in. We went and visited him. And when he came out, in a halfway house, we sponsored him. We sponsored him when he was on house arrest. He came to live in our house on house arrest, and then he finally was working back to getting back to normal, where he got off probation. He had got a full-time job that had benefits, and then he had his, I'm sorry, but so he had his life all in order. That was in January. In January, he was beginning his life. In February, he was shot. Some of the criteria, you know, in shooting is, could it have been avoided? Yes, it could have been avoided. When the police confronted him, they could have just told him that the gas station doesn't want you here. You need to leave. And he would have left. He's always complied with any police order that has been given to him his whole life. And so right there, it could have been avoided. Just to ask him to leave, he would have left. Another thing that I think that they need to consider too is, was it reasonable? Is it reasonable when you grab a gun away from a person and shoot them with their own gun? It's not reasonable. And he was defenseless. He had no gun. They say, oh, he could have had a second gun. Well, yeah, he could have had a friend standing in the shadows ready to shoot you too, but that's not reasonable. You know, so that was, it's not reasonable what they did. They say that he was running, and he wasn't running. He was trying to get away from them charging after him. They charged him. He backed up, and he went, what do you want? You know, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they still didn't say anything to him. He turned around to try to get away from them. And then they say, oh, he's running away from us. So they reached around him and grabbed his gun and shot him with it. So now, necessary, it's not necessary to shoot someone who is down 16 times. Do you have to shoot at them 16 times and say, do not move, do not move? And he was dying. He was not moving. He was in pain. He was alive. And they stood there and they watched him. They did nothing. They didn't go up and help him. They didn't see what his condition was. They just kept firing and firing at him until they had no bullets left. And then they finally went up to him and kind of half-heartedly, well, first they tried to handcuff him, but then they realized he was kind of out of it. So they half-heartedly did a little bit of CPR. Oh, look, we better act like we're trying to maybe save him. He was alive because we got an ambulance bill sent to our house. He was alive in the ambulance all the way to the hospital. He was alive at the hospital. He was fighting for his life. He didn't know why they had shot him. He didn't know. And we got another bill for almost $20,000 from the hospital, from the things that they were doing to try and save him. I heard a story just the other day about a lady that got shot 9 times, and because the officer had a packet that helped coagulate the blood so that they wouldn't bleed to death, she was saved. She was saved because of an officer's quick actions. These guys stood there and watched him bleed out. I want to know what the hospital has to really say. Did it hit any vital organs? Maybe not. He was alive clear up through that time, and I feel like he wanted to live. He had just started his life. He hadn't hurt anybody. And we miss him. We miss him a lot. Another thing I'm not happy about is I didn't know until 3 o'clock the next day that he was dead. Some of his friends came and told me at 11. His car is registered at my address. It's also got my name on it. His driver's license is registered at my address. All they had to do was come to my address and let me know. But they didn't. I had to call them at like 11 in the morning the next day when I heard from some friends. And they told me, and I called the Roy Police Department and said, I understand that you shot my son. And they took the information and they said, we'll get back with you. 3 o'clock came and they called one of the detectives or whatever called and said, oh, we're sorry, we were trying to make it over there to your house that night, and then we were going to do it first thing in the morning, but we got too busy because there was 2 police-involved shootings that night, so they were too busy to come tell me that they had shot him. And that's my story.
Thank you so much. I know that was difficult for you, Annette. We appreciate you being here today. Her story, the story of Nicholas Sanchez, takes place almost every day all across this country. It is an epidemic. And something has to be done about it. all communities have to put pressure on their city councils, their mayors. You have to organize. Only when we have mass organizations and they grow through community support are we going to ever be listened to and taken seriously. And we're not just nobodies here. We represent a cross-section of this country. I see educators, I see students, I see activists, community organizers, mothers and fathers. So listen to us, because we have a voice and we pay you to protect us, not to intimidate us and terrorize us in our communities. Community control now.
Community control now.
Community control now.
Community control now.
I want to read a statement from the attorneys that are representing Nicholas's family in the wrongful death lawsuit that they're going to file, that they're in the process of filing now against the Roy City Police Department. I just received this morning. Our firm represents the family of Nicholas Sanchez regarding their claims against the police officers from Roy that unlawfully and in a cowardly manner shot and killed Nicholas Sanchez on February 21st, 2017. We're in the process of preparing a federal civil rights complaint against the officers involved and the police department. The shooting of Mr. Sanchez was captured on video, and it shows Mr. Sanchez was shot multiple times by two officers. One of the officers took a gun that was dropped by Mr. Sanchez and unloaded the clip of the gun into the helpless Mr. Sanchez. While he was not a threat to the officers or any person at the time the officers shot him with the gun that was removed from him. Therefore, the use of deadly force in this case was objectively unreasonable.
Right.
The actions of the officers was an unreasonable use of force in violation of the Fourth Amendment right against legal search and seizure.
Right.
We look forward to presenting those facts of this shooting to a Utah jury, as we have the utmost faith that a Utah jury will do the right thing. So we thank you for sending that statement in. We have to do everything we can to make sure that a Utah jury will do the right thing, and the only way we can do that is to continually support our local organizers and those organizations that are set up to protect and represent us. So I want to bring up somebody right now who's a community organizer from Salt Lake City, originally from California, and an activist. And I'll let him come up and speak a little bit more. Cristobal, would you take the mic, please? Cristobal Villegas.
Hello. Well, my name is Cristobal Villegas, and I am from Utah County. I'm from Mapleton, but I currently reside in Salt Lake City. First off, I am humbled to even be able to speak at this rally among so many great people and many great people that knew him, Nicholas Sanchez. I'm humbled to be part of this speaker lineup. So I just first want to start with a chant. No justice.
No peace.
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 But what does justice look like? Many of us ask that every single day. What does justice look like? What it does not look like is the shooting of many, many people across the country. From Mike Brown to Nicholas Sanchez to the gentleman that was choked in New York City, to Tamir Rice that was shot, to Eric Garner, thank you. There have been many, many examples of people. One recent example that also happened about a week and a half ago was Jordan Edwards. He actually got justice. The officer was fired. But unfortunately, one of the reasons that he captured so much attention was because he was a model victim. We do not have to be model victims in order to receive justice. Let me repeat that one more time. We do not have to be model victims to receive justice. We do not need to exploit our humanity in order to not be shot. The police officers do not need to know us in order to not harass us, to not hit us, to not shoot us, and to not villainize us. We are humans just like that. We have enough worth because we are just like them. Only the difference is they have a badge and they have some authority. Officers, in a recent podcast I like listening to, there was a few excerpts I would like to read. Officers need to practice patience, he said, adding that it appears things don't have to be resolved within the first 30 seconds. Let the person that either confronting, let the person just do what they're doing. There's no reason why, there's no time limit that things have to be accomplished right off the bat. So there was a report that was unleashed and said, the report prioritized de-escalation training for all police departments and emphasized the need for officers to establish a guardian mindset rather than a warrior way of thinking. It followed a spate of police shootings, many graphically playing out on cell phone video across the nation. So the thing is, many police officers feel that they have this warrior mindset, that they have to go and accomplish something. But the thing is, no, they are here to protect and serve us. Who? Who? But they don't. And that's a problem. That's a situation. We have as much worth as they do. Police shootings tend to unfold quickly. There was a shooting that occurred, and it was 35 seconds once the officer arrived that the person was shot. For Mike Brown, it was 2 minutes. For Tamir Rice, it was just under 2 seconds. And for Nicholas Sanchez, it was about 70 seconds once the second officer arrived. That was according to the video. 70 seconds. That's how much his life was worth to those cops. That is unreasonable. That is unavoidable. That is not justice. He was, sadly and unfortunately, the 193rd victim to be shot as of today. There have been 433 victims by police as of today, and that's according to killedbypolice.net. 433. We're not even halfway through this year, and we already got way more than the whole days are in this year. That is not American. That is not human. That is not us.
That's right.
One of my good friends, Ryan Parker, he said, "We don't have the luxury of opinion, just a burden of facts. When you look at people like me, all you see is the fact that I'm brown. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, what my intents are. To them, the burden that I have is that I look different from many officers here in Roy, in Salt Lake City, in Utah, and across the nation. What they have the luxury of is making sure they can twist the words. They have many anecdotes, as we've heard. Ex-gang member, federal prison, drugs, crime. These words have not only been reiterated by the top official of our nation, but they have been rehearsed by local community officers. They try to villainize us just because they want their point to be justified. That's their luxury, and our burden is that we are the ones that are shot and killed. We believe that one thing is important, that the power belongs to the people. There's something called popular sovereignty, or the sovereignty of the people's rule. It is the principle that the authority of a state and its government is created and sustained by the consent of its people through their elected representatives, who are the source of all political power. So therefore, we have the power. Who has the power?
We have
Who has the power?
We have
Who has the power?
We have the power.
That's right. And that's why Utahns Against Police Brutality is such an important organization here. That we need community control among all police departments across the state. We also, did you not know, I wonder if you all know this, but in Utah, we do not require de-escalation training. That means what they're trained to hours and hours across the year is to shoot first and ask questions later. So once again, please, we cannot stop here. This rally, this protest is only making room, space for the solution. But when we want solution, it's by making sure we contact our representatives. I know it's not attractive, I know it's not sexy, but we must do it. We must make sure that we get our neighbors involved in these politics, in the council meetings, in the school board meetings, in the state representative elections, because until then, we will keep getting shot. So one more time, my name is Cristobal Villegas, and the power belongs to the people. Thank you.
Community control now.
Community control now.
Community control now.
Community control now.
The next speaker we're going to have up here is Gina Thane. And I know many of you know Gina, the mother of Dylan Taylor. And there's a real parallel between her story and the story that you just heard from Annette Olson. And I'd like to bring her up here now and let her talk to you all.
Hello, everybody. I had a good cry already in the car. I decided to read my speech to my daughter, and so hopefully my tears have already dropped. It seems like every time we do this, it never gets any easier. And so with that said, I'd really like to extend my condolences to the Sanchez family. I know that this is one of the hardest things that you will ever go through, and it's a long journey. It's a journey that never ends. With that said, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to read what I wrote. I know that my heart swells every single time I hear something like this happen, but it really swelled a lot when I heard about Nicholas, because it was such a coincidence. I don't understand how it has become against the law or a criminal act to go to a convenience store. Just like Nicholas, my kid, I call him my kid because biologically I'm not his mother. Both of his parents died, and he's my nephew. He came to live with our family, and he became my son. I loved him that same way. It was a sunny August day, and he and his brother and his cousin went to 7-Eleven, and when they came out, there were officers there due to someone calling 911 saying that they seen 3 guys with a gun. She stated that they were black. Then she stated that they were Mexican. Then she said, well, maybe they're white, maybe they're Mexican. So right off the bat, you know how that falls out. What went across that screen to that officer that day was 3 important things that stand out in my mind. No shots fired, no threats, and no one in danger. Man with a gun. So why was it that he was so like Nicholas was stopped because of assumption, because of how he looked. They wanted to question him. He was minding his own business. I don't get it. We need to do something about this. We need a different protocol. It literally sent chills up my spine, and I'm sure everyone else's. He was no threat, and he was assassinated by a paid servant. Our lives will never be the same, and we should have equal value, but it clearly seems like those wearing a badge are above the law. When did it become okay to pull the trigger on anyone that doesn't fit an officer's polarized image of how one should act or look in public? Now, the very life that was lost is just disregarded as if it were a simple casualty on an honest day's work. We cannot continue to allow this tragedy to happen to anyone else. There are so many lives that are cut short for no good reason. Our communities need to stand up and say enough is enough. These senseless crimes need to come to an appropriately harsh consequences. Officers, you need to stop. You need to be held accountable.
Accountability!
We demand justice, and we are sick and tired of officers and their invincibility. We need laws in place that will prohibit the overuse of deadly force and police-inflicted injuries. We need to strip them of their invincibility. All we want is justice. Justice for Dylan, justice for Nick, justice for the future victims. How are we supposed to respect law enforcement when we are in fear for ourselves? That seems to be their first excuse. I was in fear for my life. I'm in fear for my life. I'm in fear for my life. Guns were drawn on Nicholas. He didn't hurt anybody. He was shot with his own weapon, his own gun, that was never pulled out at one time. If the state of Utah had legislation that would prohibit the use of deadly force without certain conditions, feelings would not be the subject. Cops wouldn't be killing people because they had feelings that they were going to kill them.
That's right.
That their feelings were in fear for their life. Please, if you have any power or force, any power to force a change, don't let words fail on deaf ears. Hear our cries and see our broken hearts. Help us heal our wounded souls by bringing change and justice to these unsettled crimes. Our families have suffered emotional and financial strain that very few can comprehend. For there to be no assistance or support offered means we fail as a society. We should hold our officials and our officers to an obligation to serve and protect, not protect and serve each other.
Yes! That's right!
We are still here and we don't feel safe anymore, and these officers are sworn public servants. Yet following each of these unlawful deaths by officers, the victims' witnesses and families are abandoned, and that needs to change as well. We need to reach out to them and support them and validate their broken hearts. We cannot continue to allow the living to be ignored any more than we should ignore the lives lost. I urge everyone who is listening to join the fight for justice and contact your local legislation. Tell them you are a supporter of justice and would like to see accountability. Legislation for officers using deadly force, as well as unbiased crime scene protocol and investigations of officers involved incidents. The biggest lesson here to be learned is we are all human. We are all human. Two very unique, beautiful Latino men were shot down in the streets. They will forever be loved, and they will always be missed. They will never be forgotten. So please never forget Dylan, never forget Nicholas, never forget James, or Danielle, or Darian, or Matthew, or Joey. There's so many. Please never forget them. Thank you.
Walking ground, cost no fracas. Sanchez used for target practice. Walking ground, cost no fracas. Sanchez used for target practice. Walking ground, cost no fracas.
Sanchez used for target practice.
Walking ground, cost no fracas.
Sanchez used for target practice.
Walking ground, cost no fracas.
Sanchez used for target practice.
Walking ground, cost no fracas.
Sanchez used for target practice.
Justice for Sanchez!
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 Justice for Sanchez! this sound. We demand that it expound. All right, you guys know. Okay, fine. All right. When I say the audio, you say release it. The audio.
Release it!
The audio.
Release it!
The audio.
Release
The
it!
audio.
Release it!
When I say the audio, you say release it. The audio.
Release it!
The audio.
Release it!
The audio.
Release it!
The audio.
Release it!
I don't know if you guys watched that video. If you guys, first of all, bless you if you watched that video. But you will notice that right after the shooting, the audio cuts right out. You don't think they said anything important during that time? You don't think we deserve to know what they said right after? I think we do. I think they have that audio, and I think they should give it to us immediately. Release the audio.
Release the audio!
Release the audio.
Release the audio!
Release the audio.
Release the audio!
What do we want? Justice for Sanchez. When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice for Sanchez!
And when do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice for Sanchez!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice for Sanchez!
And when do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it? Yesterday? Now!
2 months ago!
Okay. No justice, no peace, no killer police! No justice, no peace!
No killer police!
No justice, no peace!
No killer police!
No justice, no peace!
No killer police!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up! Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
Hands up!
Don't shoot!
No more Sanchez, no more Barkers, no more Taylors, the cops are failures! Sorry, I tried it again.
Police brutality!
And police brutality! And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
And police brutality!
Okay, our next speaker is Heidi Kalbaum, who was the partner of James Garner. I'll let her tell her own story. She is extremely involved, just the way that Gina is, working with the police chief to get more progressive programs, to get the type of training. I'll let her toot her own horn though, because she can, yeah, we'll just let her tell her story. So let's all give a somber applause for Heidi.
Heidi!
First of all, before I introduce myself or anything, the Sanchez family, my heart goes out to you. There's nothing worse. I understand. I have been there in the depths of hell trying to figure out what the fuck happened. The love for these fallen angels will never die. They are spiritual warriors, and they are with us every day, everywhere across the nation. The rampant amount of deaths that have happened today, yesterday, a year ago, 2 years ago when James was killed, murdered for, shoveling ice off the walkways in front of our house. James had a disability. He was recovering from brain damage. I was caring for him. We loved each other. He was on medication, and, the cop was aggressive. We all might have all seen the video of him, his last 3 minutes of his life, just like the video of Sanchez's, which I watched. It's 2017. We can do better. The training that led to Sanchez's death, that led to Barker's death. What training? Do De-escalation is the key word when police approach our citizens. De-escalation is what they need to understand, practice, and use with us. They need to keep the goddamn gun in the holster. These deaths were unnecessary and unavoidable. And everything you guys have said, what Gina has said, I want to amplify. We don't need any more deaths. Our brothers, our sisters, those who have disabilities, those who are from different cultural backgrounds, we need to love each other. When we are part of a community, we do not kill each other.
No, we don't.
We solve problems. We do not kill. It is 2017 and we can do better. To go through someone being shot for no reason, to letting them bleed out, not allowing anyone to come to their side as they did with me. I couldn't cross the police line, but I could sure see his feet. Do you know how that can fuck you up? Forever. That is your life. That picture of them on the ground, bleeding out, and them saying, sorry ma'am, it's a homicide, you can't go to their body. It scars you, and it's hard to understand. But when you go through it, it lives with you every fucking day when you wake and when you go to sleep. My health has been not very good this past year, but I'm getting better. I've been going through a lot personally, as well as trying to get justice. It's been a very difficult trail. I've been working with our group, Utahns for Peaceful Resolution. I've been working with our Community Coalition for Police Reform. We have been doing the bi-monthly meetings with the Salt Lake City Police Department. We've had some success. They have started what's called an Arbinger training, which focuses on de-escalation. And what I have to say to the Roy PD is get some better training. Get the Arbinger. Fall in line. It's 2017. You can get the better training, fall in line, or fall behind. This is what the future is. Police need to be diverse. They need to represent the cultural citizens, the cultural groups that are in our society. That means more women, more Latinos, more blacks, more Asians, more everything. And we have had some success working with the police department. They have been giving us, inch by inch, moving towards a goal of diversity in hiring, better training, officers going out in pairs instead of singles. And I have also emphasized since James has died, women need to be in the force because they are a lot better at de-escalating. It's actually in the police training forms. It reads that women are better at de-escalating. It's a fact. So for us to really understand that the new generation of our young children who are growing up, who want to serve and protect, need to understand that police are our civil servants. They serve. They don't kill us. We have to really work together. With all of our coalitions and groups, we need to really talk to each other. You need to use social media, groups, family ties, talk about the need to really have our future generation. And this is our children who want to protect and serve us and move into this new paradigm of serving our communities. You know, we have to lose this old paradigm of shoot first and ask questions later. It doesn't work anymore. It never has worked. There's so many ways to solve problems without a gun. There are so many ways to make it work without a gun. There are so many ways to resolve, understand each other, and work it out without a gun. You have to understand our children, our youth, our future. We have to talk to each other. We have to spread the peace, the love, the unification, and really push. And I'm not just talking about, you know, hey, police, you know, they suck or they don't do well. We have to talk to people, talk to our brothers and sisters, say, there's another way. You know, maybe I want to join. Maybe you want to join and be that person that is the peace officer. You know, you have to see it, you have to visualize it, and you have to go there. And you have to encourage and talk more about solution. And again, my heart goes out to you to see more killings and come out to these protests. You know, it's like, it's hard. It is so hard. It just brings everything up out of the grave again. And to understand the depths of the sorrow and the grief. There has got to be a better way. There is better training, and there is people out there doing the work, and there is us. You know, we need to pull together. We need to make Utah an example to the nation. This is what we're working for. This is what we live for now. There are other states in our union that are far worse, sure. And there's other states that are far better. There's other countries, like in Europe, who are exemplary, who never shoot people. And they have far more dense population. How the hell do they do it? Let's get the tools and make it work. Let's connect with people in other states and say, hey, what are you doing? What's working for you? How's your community? How's your police department? How's the peace? And I hope you do have peace. I love you guys, and I love you for being here. Thank you.
Before we bring up our final speaker, I just want to remind everybody that we have a sign-up tablet over there that Jake's holding up. If anybody wants to give us your email address or whatever, we can have you on our mailing list. And we meet the second and fourth Wednesday of every month at the Salt Lake City Library at 6:30 p.m. And you're always welcome to come. We would enjoy your feedback. So the final speaker we have today is Stephen, and he's from UAPB, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi everybody, how are you all doing today? All right. So, as John said, my name is Stephen Michael Christian. I'm sort of a last-minute speaker. Our previous speaker sort of had to had something come up. So forgive me if this is kind of impromptu, but a lot has been said today, and I don't think I can say much more. But let me at least say a few things before we give the speaker to others who have attended today. So, I'm speaking on behalf of Utah Against Police Brutality. We've done, over the past few years, several police-related campaigns. We focused on, back in Salt Lake, we've been focusing on justice for Abdi Muhammad. I don't know if y'all remember just Abdi Muhammad, but He was shot in February of last year over at the Rio Grande district. And we've been trying to fight for justice, trying to make sure that they can drop the charges at him because those are unjust charges. On top of that, we are also going to be doing some events for Damien Huth, who was shot over in Kearns a few months ago. We're trying to be able to bring some justice to him because he's not getting the justice he deserves. And quite frankly, every victim of police violence, every survivor of police violence deserves justice. Nobody deserves to be silenced or have the politicians or the police look the other way when police officers are shooting people, right?
Right.
So, first off, thank you all for coming out today. And thanks all of the speakers for their very deep, sincere messages for everyone here. You have said so much, and yet for stuff like this, I feel like we'll never be able to say enough. And I think what we cannot say, we have to fill it in with action. We have to fill it in with struggle. We have to fill it in with reform, and we have to think big in the process. And the problem is that whenever we see incidences of gross police behavior, when we see instances where police are shooting, killing others in our communities, why is it that the community is not being able to reassert itself and control the police? Why is it that the police officers constantly suggest that they're the ones who just need to do some internal reviews, be able to look at what they did right or wrong? Why is it they get the police themselves? Police shouldn't be policing the police, right? The solution is not police self-regulation. We should not allow people who wear badges, who have the right to shoot and kill others, to be able to check themselves. The police are not partners to the communities. The communities come first. The communities are first, not the police. Community comes first. Community comes first, and Sanchez comes first. We look out for Sanchez. We look out for people who have been murdered wrongly by police officers, who have had their lives cut short by police officers. They come first, not the police officers who do the killing. And therefore, when police threaten the community, the solution has to be community control, not police self-regulation. The solution is community control now.
Community control now!
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 But there's also something we need to keep in mind. Why we're fighting for community control. Because community control is a systemic change. It's an idea that we need to have a series of new rules and regulations and institutions to be able to reassert our control over those who are meant to enact the laws that we create. And therefore, as we say regarding community control, systemic problems require systemic solutions. And why do we need systemic solutions? Because Sanchez is not an isolated incident. He is not just a random blurb. He's not just a statistic. He is a product of police that do not care about the lives that they inflict violence upon. This is a mindset that comes first. A mindset that sees others as less than human, as insubordinates and must be subordinated. We cannot allow that sort of mindset to keep on going, because if we don't change that mindset, if we don't fix this way of thinking, there will be more Sanchez's, there will be more racist killings. We cannot allow that to happen, can we? No! Justice for Sanchez!
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 And as Brenda Tyner, in an article during the Sanchez shooting or afterwards, Brenda Tyner made it clear that this is not an isolated incident from the Roy Police Department, but that the Roy PD has a history of racial profiling. Why do we cannot treat this as a random, sad tragedy? This is not a tragedy. This is what happens when we allow racist logic to go on as long as it did. And we cannot allow it to go on any longer. And white supremacy! 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 And we're gonna do that with community control. And community does not mean the majority. It doesn't mean white people. It means the very different perspectives that we have here. It means listening to different peoples from different experiences who are affected by police and other forms of violence in their own perspectives, with their own histories, with their own struggles. That is what we mean by community control. And over in Salt Lake, we've been fighting for community control through a police review board that have the power to regulate police behaviors and be able to punish police officers when they act wrong. People who are elected by the community to be able to review the behavior. So it's no longer politicians not connected to us who are having to check the police, nor is it the sheriffs or the district attorneys checking the police. It's the community checking the police. We need to put the community first, as I've been saying. And I can't be saying this, I can't say it enough. I can say it too much, but I will never be able to make it clear. Community comes first. And those who are inflicted by police violence come first.
Shame on the Roy Police.
Yeah, shame on the Roy Police.
Shame on the police. Shame on the police! Shame on the police! Shame on the police!
Shame on the police!
Shame on the police! Shame on the police!
Shame on the police!
Community control now!
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 I want to thank you all very much. I'm almost done. I just want to let you know that some events are coming up. John mentioned we have our weeklies twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of each month at 6:30 p.m. over at the main downtown library in Salt Lake City. I know that's kind of far. I recognize driving here to Roy, that's kind of far. But nevertheless, if y'all want to start your own groups here, that'll be totally awesome. We hope that what happens is that more community organizing is going to happen here in Roy. Because we recognize that it can't be just protests and yelling that's going to do, that's the solution. That's part of the solution. We have to get the energy flowing, to get people's emotions, to get people together. But we need to recognize that a struggle is not a moment. The struggle is a process, and we got to keep that process going. We have to unite against police brutality. Unite against police brutality. Unite against police brutality.
Unite against police brutality.
And then for our next event on May 27th, we are going to be having a rally at the Salt Lake County building at 3 p.m. For a rally for Damian Huth. That was the current shooting that happened a few months ago. Damian Huth was shot running away from police officers, and the district attorney Sim Gill had said that while the shooting was unjustified, he wasn't going to prosecute the officer. That's kind of bogus, right? Why is it when something's unjustified, why isn't there any justice? Why isn't there any justice for Damian? Why it is unreasonable that we allow this to happen? We cannot allow this to happen in Utah. And that's why we're going to be protesting on May 27th over at the county building at 3 p.m. at 2001 South State Street.
Right across the street from Dylan Taylor got shot.
And then, so we hope that there's going to be more organizing. We hope that we can come together as Utahns and keep fighting against police violence. That's all I have to say. I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm going to give the mic back to Sean, but once again, community control now. Community control now.
Community control now!
Community control now!
Community control now!
We're going to wrap this up pretty soon, but I want to open it up to anybody who wants to come up and say a few words, and I encourage especially people that knew Nick personally, because that's really what it's all about, to show that side of Nick, and I think we've done a real good job in doing so far today, and let the people that doubt that he was anything other than a decent person that didn't believe, that didn't deserve to be killed, I think we put that to rest today. So thank you all very much for being here. I think the first person that wants to come up and speak is my friend Damon from Salt Lake City, and a real street soldier. I have the utmost respect for him. A totally dedicated activist. I'd like to say a few words. Thanks.
Yeah, David! Woo! Yeah!
Alex, I just want to thank everyone that came out today to support this noble cause, right? Yeah, I'm Damon Harris. I organize with Utah Against Police Brutality. I've also had an opportunity to organize with Heidi Kilbaugh, Gina Thane, and the Community Coalition for Police Reform. Yeah, the one thing I just want to say is to the Roy Police Department, you need to check your privilege, man. This is ridiculous that officers have been allowed to shoot someone so tragically. I just jotted a few things down last night that I just want to kind of share. So the rhythm of killings remains steady in the culture of policing. In 2014, on this day, 378 people were killed by police. 431 people on this day were killed in 2015. 427 on this day in 2016 were killed, and this year, as of yesterday, it was 427. So you can see that it's just the same. It's almost identical numbers each year. Catchphrases such as de-escalation training, diversity training, body cams, verbal judo, community policing have not altered the reality of police terror. The rise of feel-good cop videos is an abusive attempt to rehabilitate blue lives, which undermines the human element of color. Videos of police officers sharing ice cream, playing basketball, providing Christmas presents, and having dance battles with children of color is an attempt to obscure the fact that the police are at war with our communities and people of color in general. After a police officer executes an individual in the streets, a collaborative effort between the media and police takes place and creates a high-powered smear campaign, machine gunning the public with alternative facts. The case against the individual so cleverly calculated, the execution of the departed only makes rational sense. The deceased have become criminalized by what was manufactured by the police and the media. The normalization of mistakes by police administrations and their police unions have given permission to officers to kill people that are attempting to retrieve their wallet, holding a cell phone in their hand, and for straight up not complying to the direction given when involved with the police interaction. Catchphrases, videos, and smear campaigns help rehabilitate the crooked image of policing and resuscitates and legitimizes the police behavior of shock and awe. These allow for police to become immune to being prosecuted for crimes against humanity and our communities. Accountability is non-existent in our culture. The only ones being held accountable are you and me, really. The pathology of deceit is being acted out upon the American public, and this creates a space of helplessness, stress, and anxiety. It is an insult to injury type of dynamic that causes undue trauma to our own personal selves and to our communities. With that said, it just reminds us of this it's perfect opportunity we have to show for our community and its members and try to promote a less debilitating experience for all. So like Cristobal was saying, you know, where do we go from here, right? Honestly, these rallies and protests don't do shit. All they do is elevate awareness, right? I mean, we gotta get, like Cristobal said, we gotta go talk to our city council members, legislators, everyone that is providing this immunity, right? And this privilege to our authority figures, right? One of the things that I've been involved in in Salt Lake is with a group called Cop Watch SLC. We go down, and it's a form of direct action, right? We just go down to our shelter area where we have a marginalized community, people in active addiction, mentally ill, and homeless, right? And we just try to promote accountability down there, and which accountability is a form of self-protection, right? So I don't know, man. We just gotta get in these offices and interrupt the comfort of these you know, people in our city and our state. It's just ridiculous, man. I watched that video and I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, how the fuck is that legitimate, right? Especially if he like shoots him with his own fucking gun. Like, how the fuck is that even make? How does that even make sense, right? But it makes sense because this American empire was constructed through violence. So it's a behavior, it's a colonial behavior, and it only makes sense why it's legitimate, right? I mean, officers get like 8 hours of de-escalation training. The rest is weapons training. So obviously they need 8 hours weapons training and the rest of it de-escalation training, right? And that might promote a different end for everyone. Yeah, honestly, like, I'm coming to the point where I don't even know if reform is the solution, right? Because reform just seems to be reforming the nightmare, right? Shit, I'm all about like just abolishing the whole idea of policing and instilling the spirit of mutual aid, right? Instilling the spirit of community, because that's lacking in our community and in our culture, as we can hear, right? So yeah, with that, I hope to see you guys like taking some direct action, whatever that looks like to you, and not being silent, right? Because our silence will not protect us. It will destroy us, and it's been destroying us for way too long. And with that, I would like to give this off to whoever else would like to talk. Was the gentleman from California want to talk? Or somebody from California? Anybody want to talk? Or am I just talking? Are you? Was it you? You just want to talk? Okay, sorry. I'm all yelling. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm not gonna say a big, huge speech. I just want to say thank everybody, to the speakers, to everybody that came out and took their time out of their day to come out here for him, and not only him, but obviously for a lot of people. Like I was telling my family, and I even told maybe a news person here, you know, I don't know, I mean, I would think that cops are supposed to be a little bit above everybody else, supposed to come assertive, come to a situation and be above it. And they're supposed to, you know, not only they're supposed to keep the community, even the suspect, and then themselves safe. And in a lot of cases, I think they're just going in there and it's almost like they got a free card to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And it's unfortunate, you know. And I just want to say that, you know, deadly force should be the last solution, not the first thing that you do, you know? And that's just sad. There's tasers, there's handcuffs, there's methods that you learn to tackle somebody to the ground. Those should all be in play before you pull out a gun and shoot somebody. And I think it's sad because not only do we have to watch out for bullies for our kids and pedophiles, now we have to look out for the police. And that's that. And I feel sorry for everybody that it touches, and hopefully it won't touch that many more, but unfortunately I think it will. So I just want to say thank you again. His family here and his family back home is very appreciative of all the work you guys are putting in and all the effort that you guys have done so far. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We won't forget this.
Yeah, we won't. And when that goes, when the trial takes place later this summer, and I know that Our Realities, Fighting Police Brutality, the group of advocates in California that have helped us a lot in this case, when they all come up here, we're going to be here too, and we won't forget. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And what? I read. Yeah. So Okay, so having said that, thanks to everyone that came today, and we just appreciate everything. Thank you so much.